Warning: the following video is on the controversial and sensitive topic of suicide and suicide awareness. As such, it may contain content considered to be unsettling, uncomfortable, or even a trigger. Viewer discretion is advised. The views shared in this video are the sole thoughts and opinions of Langley Shazer and in no way are a reflection of the position of any companies, groups, organizations, or social media platforms he may be associated with. Hello YouTubes, and welcome to another edition of The Casual Word. I'm your host Langley, and today I'm going to be talking about a very serious, sensitive, sometimes controversial subject in suicide and suicide awareness. Now, I recognize that some people may or may not agree with what I have to say. Some people, this will change their perceptions of me, and I apologize for doing so in advance. However, those of you who follow me know that I believe in transparency, as well as us as a community and as a people addressing a situation, recognizing that it does exist, and also figuring out a way for us to combat it and come up with solutions. You know, we can't do that if we're not talking about what the problems actually are. First, I'd like to give you guys some statistics that are pretty staggering that I just learned. Also, the websites that I use to find these statistics will be in the description, so you guys are welcome to do your own research. Those of you who know me and follow me know that I encourage you all to do your own research. You know, don't just take my word for it, but follow up. You know, ask questions, do your own reading. All those things are important, right? To build your own value system, your own opinion, and your own ideas on perhaps some solutions that we can use to be able to mitigate a very real and very, very detrimental problem to families and communities worldwide. So speaking of worldwide, the World Health Organization says globally that there are 1 suicide deaths for every 40 seconds. You guys think about that for a second. Every 40 seconds, someone is taking their own life. So while we're here having this discussion and I'm making this video, people are taking their own lives. So that's something to really think about as you go about your everyday life. But what's interesting is that they also predict at this current rate, by 2020, it will double to 1 for every 20 seconds. So I had to pause when I wrote that down. I had to pause when I read it, and just think about just how many people that is worldwide. This is a worldwide phenomenon. We'll talk more about that in a second. From 1999 to 2016, that's where most of the studies that I found kind of stopped. They're doing their new studies for 2017, 18, and collecting that data. That in 1999, 2016, the U.S. rate rose over 30%. So that's just another number that is just amazing. This puts the U.S. at number 27 in the entire world of 176 countries. So think about that for a moment. At 15.3 for every 100,000 people, the U.S. is ranked 27th in the entire world out of 176 countries. So we certainly have work to do here on our own soil. Now we're going to bring this in some. And in 2017, I was able to find a few statistics that the 10th leading cause of death in the U.S. was suicide. And that's on an average of 129 per day here in the United States. Also, in 2017, men were 3.5 times more likely than women to commit suicide. And of that number, the Caucasian males accounted for 70% of all suicides in the United States. Now we'll bring it in a little closer, bring it into our backyard. When you look at nationally where states rank, so you're talking about 1 being the highest suicide rate in the country, 50 being the lowest. Tennessee is at 21 and Virginia is at 36. So this is not to compare one state against the other. This is simply saying that here where we live, where a lot of my followers are, and where a lot of the work is that I'm trying to do, in the middle and slightly higher than halfway, and we had a lot of work to do. So I bring this to the table so that people realize that this is very real, and it's not something that we are insulated from. It's not something that is happening somewhere else. It's happening right here in our neighborhoods. It's happening right here with our young people, and we'll get to that in a second, and happening right here in our communities. So this is the awareness part that we need to realize, and it's not comfortable, but this is a reality of where we are. This is a reality of what's happening in our country, what's happening in our homes, what's happening in our communities, what's happening in our neighborhoods. So this is very, very real. And as we talk about our young people, some of the most startling statistics that I found were that in 2016, the sharpest increase, so that is the group that had the highest jump in suicide-related deaths, was the 15 to 24 age group. And to take that a step further, the 10 to 24 age group, suicide is the second leading cause of death. Now I'm just going to stop for a second and let you all take that in. 10 years old to 24. Suicide is the second leading cause of death. And it blows my mind to think about that, because what are we doing as a society? What are we doing as a culture? What are we doing as a country and as a people where 10-year-old children feel the need to take their own life? Guys, we've got some things that we need to address. There's no other way to put that. There's no way to sugarcoat it. That's a serious issue when children feel like their only recourse is to take their own life. And there's one more statistic I want to throw at you, then I'll give you guys briefly just some of my thoughts and opinions. This is something that I didn't know, and I find to be most interesting, if there is a level of interest to be had when talking about suicide, is that 54% of all the suicide deaths in the U.S., those people did not have any known mental health conditions. So that is important, because there's this myth that people who commit suicide are people who have, mental problems, or their brains don't function properly, or, they've got other things happening that cause, chemical imbalances and whatnot. Let's dispel that right now, okay? Because 54% of the people who are taking their life are regular people. So that means there's no known mental health issues or things that are going on with them, right? We're talking about Jim next door, Sally Joe down the street, little Timmy across the way, right? We're talking about people who get up, go to work, have families, they have homes, they have, what we would consider to be a very normal living situation. It's those people are the ones that are committing suicide. So we're going to continue to bring it in some. We'll make it personal. And as somebody who struggles with depression, you all who follow me, I've talked about this multiple times. It's something that is very real, very debilitating, something I struggle with more often than I don't. As someone who has had suicidal thoughts, we'll bring it real. We'll be 100% right now, guys. Even fairly recently, I thought about it. We're not saying that I was going to go out and do anything, but the thought was there. And we're talking about the very fine line between thinking about giving up and thinking about removing yourself from the equation, because that's the other myth that I'd like to dispel, is that a lot of people think that it's selfish and, oh, I can't believe you do that. They're not thinking about anyone else. And point of fact, it is everyone else that leads them to believe that removing themselves from the equation is the only logical solution. as someone who has thought about it, you rationalize in your mind that this is the only way out. And it's not about running from something. It's not about giving up on situations and issues. It's about you've reached a point where you are so defeated, so deflated, so disenfranchised, so disappointed that you don't know what else to do. And sometimes, unfortunately, and as we've seen, as statistics are showing, and as the statistics are showing it's going to be an increase, you just don't know. There is nothing else. And so let's stop with this. It's selfish, and they're not considering anyone else, and on all these things that I've heard 100,000 times over when this topic comes up, because you don't know what's going on with a particular person. You don't know what's going on in their family. You don't know what's going on in their mind. That's the most important part. We'll stop there. The most important part is that you can never, ever know what's happening in someone else's mind. You can never, ever possibly understand to the fullest extent what someone else is thinking, feeling, and experiencing internally. So for us to try and stand on the outside and judge and tell these people what they should and shouldn't be doing and all these things is preposterous. You don't know what's happening. And in a lot of cases, I dare say that a lot of people may have come to that same conclusion if they were in that same situation. So I say all that not to belittle anyone and not to throw stones, but to say we have to recognize the faults in ourselves, that we're not doing these people any justice by badgering and belittling. But we've got to, as a culture, as a society, as a people, as individuals, this is why we talk so much about being encouraging, being uplifting, about caring for our stranger, caring for our fellow man, because you don't know that that smile that you gave to someone, that hello, that I hope you're having a good day, have a great weekend, you don't know that that right there doesn't turn the tide in a person's favor to make them want to keep going. Right? We've become such a society of people who are introverted socially. So what I mean by that is you see everybody, and I am a victim of this as well, people who sit, right, we're at the dinner table, you're at a restaurant, you're with your friends, you're watching a concert, whatever, and everyone's doing this, right? We're in a digital age now, so we're all down here on our phones. We don't look at each other, we don't speak, we don't wave, we don't engage in conversation. So now we're in a position where we don't even acknowledge the existence of another human being in a lot of cases. And what if that human being, who is only looking for acknowledgement, gets none, and then here we are with these possible outcomes. So this video is to encourage all of us to be more social, to be more engaging, to be more caring, to do more than we're doing right now, because surely we can make a difference. We can change these numbers. We can make this go down, but it's up to us, the individual, the family, the community, the city, and so forth. And it expands out. It's a ripple effect, right? But it's got to start somewhere. Be aware, be cognizant. It doesn't take a whole lot to make someone feel better about themselves. We're not talking about grandiose acts of kindness and giving people vehicles or paying all their bills. It doesn't take all of that. Those are wonderful gestures, and I encourage people who have the ability to do so to please do that. Help your fellow man financially if need be. But walk an old lady across the street, put her groceries in the car, help a little kid tie her shoes. It doesn't take, when you're talking about 10-year-old children, and being here where we are located in Southwest Virginia and seeing things that we see here in our communities and the struggles with addiction and substance abuse and poverty, you can see why 10-year-old kids who are being forced to be adults are taking their lives. We're just going to be honest here. it's shocking because you never imagine kids that young considering that. But when you look at all the things that are stacked against them in a lot of communities, you're not entirely surprised. It's just a shame that that's what's happening. It's a shame that the future of our country, the future of our communities, the future of our cities, our future leadership, these 10 to 24-year-old young adults and adolescents, these people are leaving. They're leaving Earth. They're leaving, the realm of the living. We're not talking about leaving this. We're talking about they're taking their life. And so these are our brightest and our best, and some kids who have so many talents and so many gifts and so many things they can bring to the table, but feel like they have no one and have nothing and nothing to live for. We've got to change that. We've got to change that attitude. We have to change that perception. We have to change what we are giving to our young people in terms of our attitudes and how we interact with them. I get that not everybody is fun to be around. I understand that not everybody is someone that you want to engage with. I know. However, do your best to be better for yourself, for your family, for your community. My son is 8. Two years from now, I could be a parent with a child that is taking their life. Now, we're not speaking that into existence, but I'm putting it into context. We're talking about, that's an average. So there are kids his age that are considering that. There are kids my daughter's age considering that. There are kids the age of the kids that I work with on a regular basis considering that. And that's an issue, because they should be children. They should be worrying about school and sports and art and drawing and all the stuff that kids need to be engaged in, and not take anything away from our adults, our 24-year-olds and the other demographics of people who are doing that. I mean, everyone, it's all age ranges. But to see the spike in our young people speaks to an issue that we have got to get under control. And we've got to find some creative solutions to give these people hope and to give our kids opportunity and to give our kids something to strive for and something to work for. So it's enough of hearing from me, guys. I will say, when this video is posted, if your comments are negative or derogatory, they will be deleted. You will be blocked, removed, etc. This is not to demean anyone. This is not a video to make anyone feel bad about themselves. This is a video to bring absolute awareness based on facts and statistics. And yes, I have some of my own opinions. Everybody has opinions. But at the end of the day, if we don't come together as a community, if we don't come together as people, it takes a village to raise a child. And our villages are failing.